Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. Now it's real time, sponsored by the Mill Casino.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now, we're supposed to be coming back with Cameron Black from Gone Catch and Guide Service. He's up there on the Columbia River chasing some bass around any tournament. Well, wouldn't you know it? Right before we come back from break, bloop, everything goes off. So, you get me for a minute. Now, if necessary, we're just going to cut out a little bit early here and just have a long final segment with our deal of the week from Fisherman's Marine. But what I can tell you is that he is up on the Columbia. And my guys in the back right now, Ryan and others, are working on getting him up and running. So if I were to say, you know, what would be the best way for me to stretch and stall time, I couldn't even tell you. But I know that we've got a bunch of questions that have come in from some of our viewers, and one of which that I did remember in the midst, remember this is all happening real time, everyone, was in particular about duck hunting, and I know y'all love that, was decoys. How many should I carry out there? My advice for anyone that is like myself that hunts public land and you're carrying decoys everywhere that you go, two dozen decoys and a spinner, that's all I carry. That's all I take with me anywhere and everywhere that I go, unless I'm able to use the boat to get to the location that I'm going. And then I'll have a few more. But outside of that, that's the best advice I can give you on that, because people can go crazy with the amount of decoys that are out there. And what's even funnier is when you get alongside somebody in some of the areas that we do spend our time hunting, well, they'll have 3 or 4 dozen decoys or more. And with a small little spread, it's amazing how the ducks will pay a little bit of attention to that. All right, so now they tell me that we've got Cameron via a phone line rather than Zoom, which, darn it, figures. But Cameron, how's the fishing up there chasing bass the first week of November in a tournament?
It's actually pretty good. Got a nice got a nice bag going so far. Nothing that I think we're gonna win some money today with, but we got a lot of time. We got till 3:30 today to kind of improve on that. So
what's that?
Chipping away at them.
What's the format like in a bass tournament on the Columbia? Is it a five bass limit that you weigh in? Are you weighing them as you go? I mean, how does that actually look?
Yes, we got live wells, five biggest fish. Bring them in. Like pretty much, it's. I mean, there's obviously you got your fishing rules and stuff like that, but it's go out and we'll see at 3:30. So we but it is a 5 bass format. Some of the tournaments do like big fish jackpots and some of the other stuff, but for the most part, it's bring in your 5 biggest.
So you're on the Columbia. You're up in the Hood River area somewhere. How are you actually going after bass for the 2nd of November? Are you doing anything that might be different than, say, if it was August or September chasing bass around?
Yeah, so we're fishing a little deeper. Like these fish are kind of going into their wintering time, and what people don't realize is that like a lot of times, like October and November, as things temperatures cool down, it really picks up the bite because the fish are trying to feed for winter. But also right after the time when they're going to winter, they're going to start spawning again. So they're trying to put on the weight. They're getting aggressive. The temperatures are a little more. I mean, bass will live, smallmouth will live in 70-degree water, but they really like lower 60s, upper 50-degree water, which is actually probably where we're sitting right now. I haven't really looked at it. Actually, I'm at 57 today. So it's like that's kind of when they get real active. They get real chewy, and you can actually come out here and put up some pretty good numbers. I think my son and I today, we've already caught a couple dozen. But we're just trying to use, bigger jigs and some bigger baits and bigger profiles to try to pick on the bigger ones, because we're not after numbers today. It doesn't matter if you catch 5 or 100. We need those 5 big ones. Yeah,
you're just trying to find the big ones. Is there a way, and there's got to be, everyone, I've never fished a tournament like that before, so I have zero clue. If you're trying to target the larger fish, as opposed to maybe the males, I guess would be the smaller version, is there a way that you what's your thought process? How do you make those bigger fish bite as opposed to, say, the smaller ones?
Well, bigger fish are a little smarter in a way that where they choose to feed and where they choose to set up and what they choose to do, they're going to be particular in that, as in, like having like the right current break or the right spot where they can feed the easiest, right? Small fish in the Columbia River, I mean, pretty much if there's a rock on it, at some point in time, there's a smallmouth on it. Like, I'm talking every dang rock in the river, right? So, like, it just kind of depends on the time of year. But then, of course, as you get into the spring stuff and you get into the spawn, obviously that triggers them to start doing other things where, females and males will start moving up at different times to pick out, spawning areas. And they start kind of mingling offshore, kind of out, just right outside the spawning area. So, like, that's kind of more like the springtime stuff. But, yeah, there is an art to trying to target bigger fish versus just coming out here and just smacking 100 of them.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. That's, you know, obviously, everyone, if in a tournament, these little things are what makes the difference between winning or not winning. How do you feel? How are you feeling this morning? You got a pretty heavy bag going so far, or are you a little nervous?
No, we've probably got 13, 14, but the problem is, like, you know, it's the Columbia River Gorge, and so we launched out of Hood, we ran down towards Bonneville. The middle section was really, really windy this morning, so unfortunately a lot of the areas that I kind of prefer to fish were kind of not fishable, so we're kind of fishing where we can. You know, you always play the weather game up here, man. It can be quite a challenge. In fact, it's just starting to downpour on us right now, so I'm hoping I don't screw my phone up or screw the voice thing on my phone, but we're hoping that we get a little, you know, break in the wind and break in the weather. We'll start working our way up, and maybe some of those spots will lay down a little bit and let us fish spots that I kind of know hold some bigger fish, if you will.
Well, okay, so how about, we've been getting this question quite a bit here in the last couple of weeks, you know, in particular about different ways and different baits to target bass here in the Northwest. For folks that might be watching that might want to just go out and give it a try, let's say below Bonneville, is it similar to what you're referring to as far as finding fish right now? I mean, if somebody went out to Chinook Landing or somewhere, you know, below Bonneville, are they looking for deep water? Or are they going to be up against the bank? What would you recommend, at least an area to maybe try to find them?
So as we get down to that lower river, you know, you're gonna have the muddy Willamette kind of pumping color, pumping mud, and it's going to be more of a challenge. The fish won't be sitting, you know, this time of year generally in that like 5 to 6 foot deep stuff, you know, even 10 to 12. They're going to hunker down 20, 30 feet. That's where I'd be kind of trying to target if I was down there. But one thing, you know, when you talk about like Chinook Landing and you talk about down in those areas, I would, you know, there's a lot of sand and stuff, but obviously like the rocks are going to be your key. Like they really like to kind of set up in winter, kind of up and around rocks, out of heavy current, where they can just kind of loaf around and then maybe get a quick, easy meal. So it will be a little more challenging, of course, this time of year versus, you know, May, June, springtime stuff. But, you know, if the guy was really, you know, hard at it, he can definitely go probably get a couple fish.
Well, I appreciate the advice, man, and I appreciate you taking the time to try to help us out this morning with a report on chasing some bass around in the midst of a tournament. Cameron, good luck.
I got one on right now.
Do you got one on right now? See? This is why I want Zoom, man.
I know. We had it all figured out. Layton, grab that net. This is like a little 3-pounder, but this is actually one that we're going to want to have today. Yeah, bummer. Hold on. Yeah, well, you guys can't see it, so, but yeah, no, jigs, a fish on the bottom, fish a little slower than you normally would, and he's in the net, so I'll send you a picture.
Do it. Cameron, thanks as always, man. Good luck to you in the tournament. I hope that you have a chance to maybe take a win home or at least get into the money, but good luck and be safe out there. I know that wind can change quickly. That's Cameron Black, everyone, from Gone Catch a Guide Service, chasing bass around in a tournament on the Columbia. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have the deal of the week for you from Fisherman's Marine.